We're live. Welcome to Song of Solomon tonight. I had to start with the heart because it's Song of Solomon, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited. And if you guys have followed my long lead up to get to this book, it started out where I literally had not spent more time studying and looking through commentaries and reading books and looking at stuff about Song of Solomon and getting like nothing. I'm like, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. Because a lot of things have been done, a lot of studies have been done, a lot of commentaries have been done, and most of them are talking about marriage relationships and stuff like that. And that, it's not that it's not legitimate, it is. But I just knew that there was more to it. I'm like, there's something else. There's more to it. There's more to it. I just couldn't quite put my finger on it. Then finally, I guess it just must be timing for whatever reason. Finally, the Lord starts speaking and he starts downloading to me. And I have just been so blown away. So we're going to talk about it. Tonight we're going to go through the first two chapters. And but what I'm basically going to be talking about is most people know that it can be a representation of Christ and the church because the church is the bride of Christ. Well, this is what I'm going to present is basically the church, the Lord's relationship with his people all the way from Genesis to Revelation because it shows up as basically a timeline from Genesis to Revelation. And there's some really beautiful images, and and I have had a lot of just my own personal tears just getting this ready, just because I've been so overwhelmed myself with what the meaning and what he was saying in it. So we're going to start with a little backstory. I said here in the beginning, okay, and they were wondering what this picture is, and I know we're on live right now. Eventually, we'll have the YouTube, but Catherine was like, "What is this picture?" So this, and of course, you know that it's David. So this is King David. So there is a very good probability. It's not spelled out exactly, but just follow me, okay? Just follow me. There's a very good probability that the Shulamite in the story of Song of Solomon is actually the same girl as the virgin that was brought to King David when he was old. And so we're going to go over that story. So we're going to go from the beginning, okay?
You're gonna elaborate why?
Yeah, because I'm like, yes, let's let her.
I'm going to elaborate why. Okay, so just quickly, the story of King David is when he was old, he was basically dying on his deathbed, and he was cold and he couldn't get warm. And so one of his servants said, let's find a young virgin to come and keep him warm. Now I heard, hold on, she's over here. She's already mad. Catherine's already mad. She doesn't like David no way. She's just like, just hold on.
Get the cattle.
Hold on.
Sorry. Go get an animal. Sorry, I'm done. I'm loud in your house.
It's okay. So here, so here, I heard a really good explanation finally about he had all these wives and concubines. What was wrong with them?
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Okay. So they went and got just hold on. They went and got a virgin. They said, let us go find a young, beautiful virgin to come and keep the king warm. So she did on his deathbed, and he eventually died. But they didn't have any relation. They didn't have any sexual relations. Okay, right? So she remained a virgin. However, she would have been considered kind of sort of a concubine, but she would have been considered she can be considered his at that point in time, kind of legally. So she was in a way a legal bride without actually having been, but she still remained a virgin. So I'll let me explain all this a little bit more in a minute. So Shunammite and Shulamite are interchangeable. So don't get confused by the two different things, Shunammite and Shulamite. But the thing that I found out that that made sense to me as to why they didn't just get one of his wives is that they actually had some status, and what they needed was they needed a girl to come and basically be a servant to serve him. So they needed to find a servant to come and serve him. And the queens, they couldn't order around. The queens and the wives had certain status that they couldn't like tell them to be, do what? They couldn't ask them to come be a servant. They were above, their status was above that. So what they needed was a servant girl basically to come and wait on the king. And when I heard, I was like, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Catherine, she still doesn't, like, she's over here rolling her eyes. She's like, whatever.
Girl in Song of Solomon like works in the field.
Exactly. Okay, so that there is a good, and I'll tell you why. So here, the story to how this transition is made from, it's you have to sort of read between the lines. It's not exactly, but just follow me. So the story happens in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 13. Now, Adonijah was, okay, you remember that Solomon, if you don't remember, I'll tell you. Solomon was the son of Bathsheba. So I don't know if you remember, the Bathsheba was like his greatest, King David's greatest downfall, when he took the wife of one of his top mighty men and impregnated her when he was away at war, and he arranged this whole thing to have him die to cover up the fact that she was pregnant with his baby. It was this whole thing. And so this was the worst, David's worst moment. So that first baby that she was pregnant with died, but then she had Solomon. And so David promised Bathsheba that the throne would be passed to her son. I think probably we can assume, sort of as I'm really sorry about that whole thing. You know, I mean, there really was no making up that, but at least it was the least he could do.
She was probably obviously hurt.
Oh my goodness. She was very hurt because this was not her choice. None of that whole thing was her choice. So he promised Bathsheba's son, who is Solomon, the throne. But there was another one that was technically in line, and that was Adonijah. So as David is dying, Adonijah had made an attempt to become king. And so Solomon had already put that rebellion down, and Adonijah was kind of like, okay, my bad, sorry. But then he does this, and Solomon rightly discerns that this was an attempt to the throne. Because men, what they did, and I don't mean any disrespect to men by saying this. It just, I'm being serious. I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, but it reminds me of how dogs behave, is that they would bed the wife in order to assert dominance. So this move by Adonijah was an assertion to the throne. So here it is, verse 13. Now Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and so she said, do you come peaceably? So she asked, do you come in peace? He says, peaceably. Moreover, he said, I have something to say to you. And she said, say it. Then he said, you know that the kingdom was mine, and all Israel had set their expectations on me, and that I should reign. However, the kingdom has been turned over and has become my brother's, for it was, it was his from the Lord. Now I ask one petition of you, do not deny me. And she said to him, say it. Then he says, please speak to King Solomon, for he will not refuse you, that he may give me Abishag the Shunammite as wife. Now Abishag the Shunammite was the virgin girl that had warmed David until he died. Okay?
Smart.
Right. then so Bathsheba said, "Very well, I will speak for you to the king." Bathsheba therefore went to King Solomon to speak to him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her and bowed down to her and sat down on his throne, and had a throne set for the king's mother, so that she sat at his right hand. Then she said, "I desire one small petition of you. Do not refuse me." And the king said to her, Ask it, my mother, for I will not refuse you." So she said, "Let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah your brother as wife." And King Solomon answered and said to his mother, "Now why do you ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he's my older brother, for him and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah." Then King Solomon swore by the Lord, saying, "May God do to me more and more also, if Adonijah has not spoken this word against his own life. Now therefore, as the Lord lives, who has confirmed me and set me on the throne of David my father, and who has established a house for me as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death today." So King Solomon sent by the hand of Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and he struck him down and he died. Okay, so that is the last in scripture that we hear about Abishag the Shulamite. But it makes sense, and there's a lot of other scholars that believe that it makes sense that she would have been given to Solomon, because he basically inherited her. And she wasn't like a political, because we know that Solomon he'd had all these political marriages, but they weren't romances. He married for political reasons, all these different women that were princesses and that kind of thing. But she, we'll see in the poem, really is different to him. And, and it kind of makes sense to me in a lot of ways that it makes sense. The servant girl, but she was beautiful. They set out to find a beautiful girl, and that again, it kind of can ruffle our feathers a little bit for modern day hearing. But if you think about it, in ancient days, the king had nothing in his house that was uncomely or not beautiful. Everything had to be top tier. So that's kind of why they, if they were going to find a servant girl, they were going to find a very beautiful servant girl. Mm-hmm. So that's what they did. So Solomon inherited this girl who was still a virgin, but yes.
Why not the other concubines? Why this one?
Well, because
they had sexual relations with David.
But this one was the virgin.
So this one's still unclean, but not all the way.
She is.
Is that why she went
She's
to Solomon?
Not unclean.
No.
Then why would she go to Solomon?
Why would she be? Why would
But okay,
Well,
legally, she was of the house of David. She was legally bound to the house of David.
She couldn't be a concubine because she didn't have relations with him.
Right. She didn't have sexual relations with David. So, but she had legal rights. I mean, she was legally a part of his house.
But that wasn't enough, I guess.
But she remained a virgin. Well, it's just how it happened, but it happened that way for a purpose, for God's purpose, I believe. So,
I guess I just wondered to myself, like, then she would have just stayed with David and been like, oh, this is House of David, and all these people were probably from David, and they still live in the kingdom, and now this is Solomon's era over here with all his stuff.
If the wives and the concubines of David's, they would have been taken care of. I mean, they were still a part of his house, but they would not have been taken into Solomon's bed.
Right, Solomon wouldn't have them as wives now, because those are like, that's weird.
Right, that's why I was like...
Right.
Because David never had relations with her, and she's still so young.
Yeah.
It's to also probably give her like a chance at a family and marriage, more similar to potentially more like a Levirate.
And she was,
situation.
No,
I don't
Close. Not exactly.
exactly,
Not
but
exactly,
kinda
but
closer to that
close-ish.
than-
Yeah.
So there was
Yeah.
no servant worthy. We didn't just.
no.
There was no
What do you-
servant worthy to serve David, where his wife could have just laid there too. Now she's stuck in this mess.
It's not mess. She's stuck in a palace.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden elevated beyond a
They
field
couldn't
working
force
girl.
the other
Yes.
wives and concubines
Right.
to do that.
Right.
Why would they have to? They're married to him. They are devoted. They're supposed to be devoted.
They're queens. It's not the same.
Yeah. They
They
it
didn't
really
marry for
yeah.
love.
It was.
Yeah.
not the
Who
same.
among them did David love?
He did love Michael, but Michael,
But she was not.
Michal, but then they broke up in the heart.
Anyway,
So she was
so
at the end. Who did he love? No one.
so
Himself. God.
there's one other aspect to this story.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Y'all aren't
I
right.
made a mockery of your class today. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
Not your
okay.
class,
That was
David.
good.
It's
That was
okay.
good.
There's one other story. There's one other part of the background of this story.
Raven's lost. She's like, why did she say Jonathan?
They were
Don't worry.
besties. They were
That's
besties.
that's
yeah,
a
they're best friends.
yeah. So okay, here's the other part of the background. Okay, the other part of the background is that there's one other Shulamite woman who is mentioned in Scripture. And she is mentioned during the days of Elijah. Does anybody? Do you remember
The one
Or the
widow.
one with the son.
the one with the son?
Yes.
There's nothing by accident that happens here. Okay, so that woman, this was a woman who was barren. She was a Shulamite. And because Elijah always passed through that area, she made a room. Now follow me. Imagine. She made a room for him in the upper room.
Yeah.
So we know in the upper room ended up being Pentecost, right? But she made a room for him in the upper room. He said, "What can I do for you? You've been so kind." And she's like, "Oh, nothing." And he's like, and so his servant said, "She doesn't have a son. She doesn't have any kids." And he said, "Okay, I'll pray to the Lord for you and you'll have a son." And she's like, "Don't tease me with that." But she ends up having a son, her only son. Her only son ends up dying, and Elijah comes and he lays out on the son 3 times. And when we see, it's a strange story, but when you see the imagery of it, he lays out face, mouth to mouth, hand to hand. I mean, he's like spread eagle, lays out to warm his body, and he does it 3 times. So that he's basically making the sign of the cross. So he's sort of inferring the cross in a way. It's the sign of the cross that he's imposing on this dead only son. And the only son who's died of this Shulamite woman raises to life after 3 times, which is of course the three days of being the Lord being in the earth. Am I making sense or am I just talking?
Yes.
Okay. So we have this whole image of the cross that is with the Shulamite son, her only son, who is dead and resurrected. And then, so there's that. So there's that. And then we have the story of this other Shulamite woman who is, because we'll see, there's some imagery that we're going to get into later on where she speaks of, if I could take you to my mother's house, the one who conceived me. And the only other Shulamite woman we know of, and it's not actually her mother.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking in spiritual terms, in metaphorical terms. The only other woman we know of is this one that had the son that was the only child who was dead and then resurrected. And so then we have this girl who is legally a bride, but a virgin. So she is the picture of the bride. She's a picture of the church, because here we are in this already but not yet state that we are in, and have been throughout history. The already but not yet. It's a love affair. It's a romance between God and his people. all the way from Genesis to Revelation, in this state of the church being a pure, spotless bride, a virgin, but not yet actually wed to Christ. So did I do a good background on where we start here with this?
Yeah.
Because it will I think it matters all that in this. All right. So this verse, chapter 1, verse 1, Song of Solomon. The Song of Song, which is Solomon's. I just kind of liked this picture, so I just put it in here.
That's a nice picture.
I thought it was nice.
Way nicer than the first one. I'm just saying. We're all thinking it.
I know.
No, not really.
Different story.
I cannot wait till we all like get to heaven and David just put you in your place.
You're gonna say, I like that.
Catherine is going to roll her eyes when David walks up. She's going to swerve and roll.
I
She'll be
found
like,
someone who shared my opinion
have
of
a
him,
word
and
with
you'll
you.
never guess who it is.
who?
You will never guess. I wouldn't
Wait, I
have
didn't hear.
guessed. Someone shared my opinion of him.
Of David?
Guess.
I don't know.
Richard.
Wow.
I was like, Richard's like, they always talk about David like he's this good guy, but here
I-
he is
I-
in his late life doing this. I said, yeah. I said, guess you can't be checking his history, huh? And they were like, whoa, can't believe you said that. I said, he knew what he was doing on the roof.
The more,
Anyway.
Roof. Oh,
Sorry.
look, the more you learn about David, eventually I think that your heart will soften towards him. So just
It's soft. You know what?
Hold the
It's soft,
thought,
and then you
hold
told
the
me
thought.
That story at the end of his life. I every time I'm like, you're right, and then I'm like, no.
okay, here we go. The Banquet. Okay, this is a poem, a love poem. This is the Shulamite, which is the bride, the woman who's speaking at first. Verse 2. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Anytime you see wine in here, you think of the covenant. There is a covenant. You guys talked today about you did the wine covenant.
crazy.
So your love is better than wine. Because of the fragrance of your good ointments, your name is ointment poured forth. Your name.
The oil.
Ah,
I did the girl who poured out oil a lot
ah.
today.
I wrote it on my notes.
Yeah.
Oh. Therefore, the virgins love you. Draw me away. So she is speaking to her beloved, who is obviously Solomon. It's the king. But for the intent and purposes of the spiritual story, it would be the king is Jesus, right? And then the bride. And so the bride says, draw me away. And the feeling of just being enraptured and enthralled with his love. Now, and here's the daughters of Jerusalem. Now, the daughters of Jerusalem serve as a chorus to sort of narrate the story. But I thought a lot about this. I think that you can make a comparison, because I thought a lot about this too. You can't take it too far, but there's the parable of the 10 virgins, who are daughters of Jerusalem, and then there's also just the collective. So you have the one bride in the poem, but then the Lord is, his love story is for the church as a collective, which is hard. All of this is hard for us to get our mind around, because we have such a narrow view of what all of that means. And it's hard for us to imagine a marriage of like this kind of intimacy with someone, and they're in love with like a whole bunch of people. It's hard for us to like put our mind around that. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you said.
But here's the thing. So if you think about it, so you know how the word says that in heaven, there'll be no marriage and giving in marriage. So I've heard Madison and Dylan mention before. It's like, man, it's sad. I want to be, he's like, you want to stay married. You want to always and for all eternity be with your spouse because it's a sweet, intimate love. I don't think that it's going to be less, or I don't think it's going to be less of intimacy at all. I know that somehow or another it'll be more.
It will be agape to the fullest.
Agape to the fullest. So if you've had that experience of just being all enraptured with the love of Christ,
There is no marriage in heaven.
So-
Because
oh,
she's confused. I'm trying to
okay,
explain. And
Okay.
this poem, it represents what we're going through. Kind of alludes to the bride, which is the church, okay?
And
the church, which
Jesus.
is a bunch of people, and Jesus, the bridegroom, who's coming back, and we're going to the wedding supper once.
So it's both. This is a love poem between Solomon and the Shulamite girl.
But it is like a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. It's talking about Jesus and the church. But if you have that moment of just being totally caught up in the intimacy and love of Christ, that moment when the Holy Spirit is really heavy, don't you want to, somebody that you love that deeply and intimately, don't you want to pull them in and share that moment with them? I believe it's going to be just like that, and it's going to be so much more and better and deeper, and the collective will only add to the intimacy. Does that make sense? It's just hard for us to imagine the way that we experience those things here. The one thing we do know is that everything we have here is only a shadow of the things to come. So we know and experience things through the glass dimly. We see and understand through things in a very shallow way. I don't have 100% knowledge, obviously, because we're not there, but I do, with everything in me, believe that it'll be better and it'll be more intimate, and we're not going to miss anything, and we're not going to miss each other, and you're not going to miss your spouse. You're going to have a better, even more intimate and more full relationship with everyone, because we will know each other. There'll be no misunderstanding at all. It'll be complete understanding and knowledge of each other. That's all I can. So anyway, so the daughters of Jerusalem, I just had to preface with that. The daughters of Jerusalem say, we will run after you. So the collective, so she is enraptured and says, draw me away. So then the collective says, we will run after you. The king has brought me into his chamber. So here is the consecration. So she is brought into the chambers as a consecration of their love. We will be glad and rejoice in you. We will remember your love more than wine. So again, there's their reference to wine. The Shulamite again, rightly do they love you. I am dark, but lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. I'm going to explain this in a minute, but the tents of Kedar were black. So that's why she is comparing herself to the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. This curtains of Solomon in the temple were dark and thick and black, and made a complete barrier between the outside and the Holy of Holies, right? Do not look upon me because I am dark, because the sun has tanned me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. So this is a double meaning here, probably more than that, but it's at least a double meaning. One thing is that when you first enter into an intimate relationship with Christ, the first thing you're aware of is your own blackness, your own state of sin. As soon as you come into his chambers, as soon as you come into that place of intimacy, the first thing that is like, oh my gosh, I am so unworthy of, it's like you almost want to hide, because it's like you're so aware all of a sudden of your own sin, your own blackness. Okay. But I want you guys to think about this as a timeline, because it's going to get really good and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful timeline. In the beginning, the bride, which is the people that God is calling to himself, is called out of slavery. Just as Israel was called out of Egypt, the love affair is new, and she is aware of her unworthiness. So when they were called out of Egypt, they were called out of slavery. And Egypt is symbolic all through Scripture as the world, sin, etc., in a symbolic manner. But the bride is called out of sin, called out of slavery, and Israel was called out of Egypt. And so the Lord calls Israel out to be separate, to come and be his. And that's the first time that they're a nation. That is the birth of the nation. Because remember, Joseph went alone to Egypt, and then his brothers come, and for 400 years they stay in Goshen, and that's where they multiply and become a nation. And then they come out of Egypt as the nation of Israel. That's the birth of the nation. All right, verse 7. Tell me, O you whom I love, where you feed your flock, where you make it rest at noon, and why should I be as one who veils herself by the flock of your companion? So she's searching. To the king, where can I find you? This is a comment. Israel comes out of Egypt and begins a journey of wandering in the wilderness. So she is journeying and searching through this time in the wilderness. There's a lot of this that's going to happen in the wilderness, and it's the wilderness wandering. But this is the Lord refers back to this time so much through Scripture as a time when there was like this really special love with him and his people. Mm-hmm. So the beloved is the king. So the beloved is Solomon, or the king. So this is him speaking, verse 8. If you do not know, O fairest among women, follow the footsteps of the flock and feed your little goats beside the shepherd's tents. I have compared you, my love, to my filly among Pharaoh's chariots. Your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with chains of gold. So later on, we see that Israel is a lot of times said they're a stiff-necked people. But in the beginning, when she was young and faithful and beautiful, her neck was graceful and strong, and compared to the neck of a filly, which is a female horse, that's adorned with like ornaments and gold. Oh, see, here's the daughters of Jerusalem. We will make ornaments of gold with studs of silver. The studs or bases of the tabernacle were silver. The tabernacle in the wilderness. Silver represents redemption. So silver is, the redemptive coin is silver, as a silver coin. And I won't go into the whole backstory, as I'm trying to stay on track. But silver represents the blood of redemption. Yes. Question?
And yet Judas is paid in 30 shekels of silver.
Yep. Exactly. I know. While the king, this is the Shulamite, while the king is at his table, my spikenard sends forth its fragrance. A bundle of myrrh is my beloved to me, that lies all night between my breast. So the spikenard is the aromatic fragrance that she is sending forth, which is her prayer and the love, and that there's always the prayers are always associated with
the account of the lady when Mary pours out the
the
she
oil.
says it's pure nard.
Yes,
I was
spikenard.
like, that's the one I chose to.
Ah,
The account I chose to use.
crows. That's crazy. It is spikenard. It's pure spikenard.
Wow.
Pure nard.
This is wild.
Right?
What are the odds?
What are the odds? But it's so beautiful. But if you, yeah, the lady who pours out the ointment, that kind of devotion, that kind of love, that kind of fragrance poured out as at his feet. And then the bundle of myrrh she's clutching it. The myrrh, which is the herb that was used for embalming, it's symbolic of death for embalming. It's a bitter herb, but it has a nice smell. And they used it at Passover. They used myrrh at Passover, and she's clutching it close to her chest. So it's between her breasts. So she's grasping and clutching onto it. So anyway, here's the comment. Myrrh, the herb used for embalming, was one of the gifts given to Jesus at his birth. The bride clutches it close to her heart, the promise of salvation and a hope to be wed. My beloved is to me a cluster of henna blooms in the vineyards of En-Gedi. En-Gedi means, the meaning of it is spring of the kid goat, is a lush, natural desert oasis in the western shores of the Dead Sea. It was renowned in the ancient world for not only for grapes, which is wine and fruit and vineyard, but also for its rare medical balsam and the fragrant henna flowers. The imagery draws on the contrast between the barren Judean wilderness and the thriving, life-giving gardens of the oasis. So you can see that it's the barren, you can see the nation as it's being its firstborn, the firstborn nation, and they're in the wilderness. And then there's this oasis, and the oasis is where the Lord provides, and the Lord it's
The water.
the water, yes, all of it, the grapes, the balsam, all of it. So the beloved, which is the king. Beloved, you are fair, my love. Behold, you are fair. You have dove's eyes. So this is the comment. Even though she sees herself as unworthy and dirty from a world of slavery, the king sees her as beautiful. So she was saying, I'm black, I'm beautiful, I'm unworthy. She's so aware of her sin. But this is his response. His response to her is, you are fair, my love. You are fair. Behold, you have dove's eyes. So he's affirming to her how beautiful he sees her, even though she's saying, no, I'm dirty. Doves, doves symbolize the Holy Spirit, and doves' eyes have a unique quality where they can only see one thing at a time. I did not know that before, but doves can literally only focus on one thing at a time. That's beautiful. The bride is drawn to the king through the Spirit, and she has one focus, the king. The Shulamite, verse 16, behold, you are handsome, my beloved, yes, pleasant, and also our bed is green. And that's a reference to, he makes me lie down in green pastures, Psalm 23. The beams of our house are cedar, and our rafters of fir.
Oh my goodness. Well.
Because the temple was built with cedar.
Oh my gosh.
And in the tabernacles that they built in the Feast of Tabernacles, they used fir branches as the roof of the tabernacles while they were out in the wilderness.
Oh.
the Lord wants so badly for them to always remember. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm just a baby.
No, it's good to be moved by the Lord.
Oh my gosh.
They were instructed to use the fir branches so they could see the stars through them. And always remember their time when he took care of them. Sorry.
Yeah, who would have ever known that? Deep study.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm such a baby. I'm sorry. Okay. And the fact that this is
So
this
beautiful.
sorry. There y'all y'all are just waiting on us to collect ourselves.
I'm like, it's
fine.
beautiful, but like, I'm like,
You started and Dylan was like,
Just hush.
Because,
Just
like,
hush and let us
oh
have a
my
moment. Just let-
God.
you can have every moment.
every single
Every
night.
moment incredibly beautiful.
But the
And they
fact
don't.
They still don't.
This is crazy. They still don't even
Uh.
know. Like,
when they were young and pure and the virgin, and he just wants so badly for them to always know and always remember that time.
oh my gosh. This is just amazing. This is better.
I'm glad. It took me a long time to get to the place where the Lord was like finally speaking and downloading, and I've been just overwhelmed.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is really good so far.
I'm
Good.
dead.
Okay.
How? Oh, nothing is like. It seems so random. And you're
It
like,
really
what
does.
is-
I'm like,
you're
all
like
right.
when you're reading, you're like, what? Like, and imagine the
It gets
the
so
wild
much deeper.
interpretations this
I
has
know.
gotten before, and the Lord's like,
I was like,
still don't get it.
I think it gets so much deeper than this, y'all. I'm so excited for this whole book. There's so much more. And I kind of think that he revealed some of these things to a woman partially because men just hear all the lurid imagery about breasts and stuff and kind of glaze over it. They just don't hear anything else, you know? It's like, but anyway.
some
But-
pastors have really interpreted this in a particular way.
Peter's pretty strong.
All I'm thinking
It
about
does
is
it right.
Mark Driscoll
Right.
and his.
Don't even go there with Mark
Sorry.
Driscoll. Let's not even talk about him. He's not even worthy to be brought up.
Bleep that out, Dylan.
Bleep it out. Bleep his name out. That's when you can bleep out. Anyway. Okay. That's true. That's true. Chapter 2. I am the rose. This is the Shulamite.
Okay.
I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. Okay. The rose of Sharon is known for its hardiness. It symbolizes resilience because of its ability to thrive in poor soils. It's a flower of the wilderness in a barren, dry land.
So that's what I need to plant.
There it is in color.
Oh, it's
It's a hibiscus.
Yeah.
Um,
Hibiscus do very well here. Their annual's not
I guess I need to. Oh, that's what it is. Anyway, urban environments and harsh weather conditions. And then the beloved, which is the king, says, like a lily among thorns, so is my love among the daughters. The rose of Sharon, which thrives in a barren wilderness, and then he says a lily among thorns. So it's the same thing as like of among all of this thorny, barren wilderness, she looks to him just like this beautiful, almost out of place, unusual bloom. Both flowers stand out as an unusual beauty in an otherwise harsh environment, and they are tended to by God Himself. The Shulamite. Like an apple tree among the trees of the woods, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down in his shade with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. So the apple tree could also be it's basically kind of like a generic word for fruit. Some commentators say an orange bergamot tree because it was so fragrant. The orange bergamot tree is very fragrant. Mm-hmm. We don't really know. But anyway, it produces fruit and it's very fragrant. So he is a place of shelter and shade and fragrance and beauty and a towering figure over her. You know, it's like this towering delight over her that she rests in his shade. The Shulamite to the daughters of Jerusalem. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. The second time the king brings her somewhere, the first was to his chambers, which is a place of consecration. This time he brings her to the banqueting house, the house of wine. The chamber was a place of revelation and purpose, the consecration to purpose, the revelation. The second place is a place of joy and enjoying the presence of the king. Banners were used in military victories, similar to kind of flying a flag to announce a victory. Banners were used for armies. So now she's
I've always wondered why.
the banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that the symbol?
Yeah.
But
It was used in armies. Mm-hmm. And so his banner over me is love. So she has the victory, and, you know, it's his love. This is the Shulamite. Sustain me with cakes of raisins. Refresh me with apples, for I am lovesick. So she's so overwhelmed that she's kind of in a state of fainting. She's so overwhelmed with his presence and his love that she can almost not contain herself.
That's what Maddie said during prayer today.
Oh my goodness, that is what Maddie said.
She did.
Where's Maddie at? Maddie, where you at?
You should take your notes and tell her.
Yes. So this verse is a beckoning for moderation. She's overwhelmed. She's almost like, it's almost too much. So she's so overwhelmed, it's like a beckoning for moderation at the same time that she's just enjoying being enraptured with his presence. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or by the does of the field, do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. So this phrase, do not awaken love until it pleases, appears 3 times in the book and seems to refer to the divine timing of God to bring forth the marriage and the return of the king. I've heard it explained different ways, and I feel like it is so shallow and falls so short of the true meaning of what it is.
Like all of this.
Yeah, all of this.
Oh, everyone's like, well, let me get up in the morning and read before work and be like, well, and go on their way because they don't get it. Me.
Well,
Well, the Lord will let me know.
In due time today.
but
It's true. That all this really good symbolism is missed. And preachers don't preach it right. I've never heard it like this.
That's why I don't touch it.
yeah. Madison.
I mean, this
Well,
is a lot.
I will say that there's I will say that there is some value. Mostly I hear it like explained as far as like sexual purity and
Yeah.
the marriage
Right.
bed
That's
and all
the
this
only
stuff.
time I've ever heard this. Like,
Right.
it's the only verse you know of the Song of
Don't you
Solomon.
awaken
Don't
love.
awaken
Yeah,
love.
right. But it does, that's not what it,
I don't think that's what it means.
I mean, you can say that. I don't think it's wrong, but I think it's just way falls short of the true depth and the true meaning, you know. So, okay, we're at 8. The beloved's request. This is the Shulamite. The voice of my beloved, behold, he comes, leaping upon the mountains and skipping upon the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Behold, he stands behind our wall. He's looking through the windows, gazing through the lattice. So this is one place where I thought it was valuable to bring in a different facet. And this is part of the interpretation of your own personal journey with Christ. So in your personal journey with Christ, when you have entered that much, so if you've come that far to where you've experienced the intimacy, you're in love with the King, that you understand the depth of the Holy Spirit. The tendency in our personal journey with Christ is to want to just stay there and hidey hole away inside walls, inside your own walls, and never go out. And in this picture, the king is actually outside the walls, and we're going to talk, she's the bride later on in the book, and we're going to talk some more about that later on, has descriptions of walls and towers as a city. That's going to come a little later, okay? But at this point, I think it's valuable to see that he is outside the walls and he's beckoning her out, like, come join me in work. Come join me over here. He is got work to do. And she would much rather hidey hole away in this little place of, no, I really like our beautiful little green pasture here, and she's not really, it's a picture at this point, or it can be, of kind of an immature bride that would much rather stay in that place and not join him in the work of the kingdom. Does that make sense? You want to say
when you
something?
read this verse,
Yeah.
this one came to my mind.
Okay.
That God looks, or this one, he's looking through the windows, gazing through the lattice.
Mhm.
It's God looks down from heaven on all mankind to see if there's any who understand, any who seek God. Because I know Misty Edwards, I love her. She quotes this verse in a way. She quotes it and she's like, he's peering over the balconies, looking throughout the earth. I just
To
like
see.
how she's so expressive. But
Yeah.
it literally brought it to my
Oh,
mind,
that's beautiful.
hearing
I'm
this.
glad you brought it up. I didn't think about that, but it so fits. So this is the comment, what I just said. In our personal relationship with Jesus, we tend to want to stay inside the walls where we're comfortable and we've experienced his presence rather than go out and join him in his work. He calls us to mature and be willing to follow him and partner with him in his work, not just stay within our own walls. Now, that was a little bit of a sidestep. It fits. It's a different facet. If you think of a diamond with all the different facets, I turned it around for a second because I thought it was important. I thought that's a good point right there. And then we'll go back to the timeline. Okay. My beloved spoke and said to me, rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth, and the time of singing has come. The voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land, and the fig tree puts forth her green figs. The fig tree is a constant symbol of Israel in Scripture. Here, the nation is young with unripened figs.
This is when the Lord goes and he inspects the tree.
Yes.
It's supposed to have those green figs.
It's supposed,
Those
yes.
early figs, and it had none.
Yes. Yes.
Ugh,
Later on, in case you couldn't
That
hear,
hurts.
I know.
that hurts.
In case you couldn't hear, when the Lord goes to inspect the fig tree, and it was supposed to have figs and did not.
Because it was supposed to
and-
have early figs.
Yeah. It does hurt.
that
It does hurt. It hurts. Yeah. But here he's calling her away, and it's a time of rejoicing. He's calling her away to have basically that alone time with him in the place of, the tabernacle, the place of under the fir branches, all of those, in the early, the first love. You've forgotten your first love. Okay, 13 still. And the vines with the tender grapes give a good smell. So remember also the vineyard is also Israel, and the vineyard was leased out to vine dressers. We see the parables that Jesus talks about, that he leased out the vineyard to vine dressers. And every time he sent, the Lord sends somebody to check on the vineyard, they kill the prophets. Every time they come, they kill the prophets. And he said, "This time I'll send my son. They'll respect him." And when the son appears, they said, "This is the heir. If we kill him, we get the vineyard." Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. O my dove, in the clefts of the rocks, in the secret places of the cliff, let me see your face. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. This is her brothers who say, I should have put a note there, it's okay. Catch us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. So the vines in the beginning had tender grapes, the early fruits, the first fruits. And the brothers come in and say, catch the foxes, because the things that ruin the vineyard. The things that ruin the vineyard.
Tell Herod that fox.
Yes, he did say that. Tell Herod that fox. Yeah. I'm glad you're in here for commentary.
I'll just hold this one.
Just over there, hold the mic.
Podcast style where I just.
We could. She says, yeah. And then there's this verse.
If she holds it, I'm gonna think she's Bob Barker or something.
It does look like a Bob Barker microphone. The Shulamite, my beloved is mine, and I am his. He feeds his flock among the lilies. Such a picture. He feeds his flock among the lilies. He's the shepherd. Jesus is the shepherd, tending the sheep, feeding his flock among the lilies.
And she's talking. She's referring to this king as someone who feeds his own flock, like a shepherd. The king and the shepherd.
And the shepherd. The king and the shepherd.
Man.
Which is not Solomon. Solomon didn't feed no flocks.
Up.
Do what?
I'm worked up. It hurts me because I listen to people debate with rabbis in Jerusalem, and they just don't listen.
Yeah.
Some do every once in a while, but most of they just won't hear.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know. It's heartbreaking. To her beloved, until the day breaks and the shadows flee away, turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag upon the mountains of Bether. The mountains of Bether. Bether means separation. So the mountains of separation refer to calling out a people to be separate and holy for himself. At the end of the book, later, at the very end of this book, we'll see an image of the king coming upon the mountains of spices. So this story is the Lord's love, his love song from Genesis to Revelation, the love story.
Oh my god.
Oh, it gets better.
This is my favorite of all time.
I love it.
This is my me too.
It's
just
good.
love the Bible so much.
Me too.
My face is overwhelmed.
Me too. Don't these two with their faces, they keep looking at me and Madison are messed up, and they're just like,
It's beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Madison's like, leave me alone, everybody.
I know. Trust me, I had so many moments. I had so many mornings of tears when I was like just doing this part. Oh, just wait. It's beautiful.
This is like, who am I that you are mindful of me? Like one person. Like, if there was one, and it's just crazy. It's crazy to think how huge and
What the banquet he prepared and no one came.
it's.
So we called us out from the
really,
streets and the
people
highways and the
don't
byways.
People don't think about their lives like from the beginning of time, from the foundations of the earth. Like he wrote this out and died. He knew he was gonna do it because of, and wrote this out for anyone who would. Is there anyone who would understand? And calls them and to be separate for himself. He loves. It's just crazy. It's crazy that God, bigger than all of this, anything that we can even fathom, like knows your heart, like you, like he knows you as an individual. He wants to know you, and he loves you, and it's just so crazy, and people just don't care. It's so wild. It's so amazing that we can hold his words in our hand, like, and read it and know it. Like, this life is like bigger, so much bigger than anything you can experience with your hands. And these five senses is so much more, so much better. And like nothing here is like worth comparing to when we are with him. Oh, just to be with the Lord, like one day is just the focus of my eyes. It's so amazing. Like
So
how
beautiful.
you could read this, like no doubt, like I could just go on forever. Don't even get me going. I could just.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
It's so good.
It is so
It's
good.
amazing, dude.
His love song really is.
And this is written like. Did Solomon even understand? Like.
I don't know.
And we say, like, oh, no.
Someone saw this and was like, well, Solomon wrote it, so we'll put it in there. And
They
probably
said,
didn't even understand.
Someone was like, I like this book. I'll keep it in. Not even knowing.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was at the table and I was like, what does this mean? Just say what you mean. And Stacey was like, I feel you. It was like poetry.
I'm here for poetry.
I love poetry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm glad that
Oh,
I'm glad you got. I'm glad it landed the way I hope it would
I wish
because
Mariah was here.
I know.
Shoot.
Mariah, where you at? Where you at? She's at the movie. We know where she is.
You got a friend in me.
Me and Mariah would have been like, wow.
I know. She can cry later tonight, I guess. Oh, by the way, While we're on the subject, next weekend I will actually be out of town, so we have to have a pause
I
for
was
this.
So hard.
I know.
Yay, I won't miss a class.
Me and Jolene. I know. I never go anywhere. Aren't you surprised? Aren't
Have a
you
great
like?
time.
You're so
You never
sweet.
go
She's only saying that
Thank
'cause she
you.
won't be here next week either, so she's not
It's
having to catch
true.
up on.
You weren't here this week.
I know, but I'm catching up. Now you don't have to. It's
Okay. So I know I hate to pause. I hate to pause it right here, but it is okay. Next weekend is the 4th of July weekend, so we can just say pause. Everybody go do fireworks or whatever you're gonna do, and then the time will pass quickly when you're having fun, and we'll be back in 2 weeks for the next part. I'm really, really excited about this book. I'm really excited about some things that got. I mean, I've been blown away. I have been blown away at what he's. There's more. There's more.
Look what Jolene drew, a lily among thorns.
Oh, Jolene.
Don't.
Oh.
Why'd you do
Love,
it? You
love,
pulled
love.
it out, now you're crying.
I need your help. Okay. Love, love, love. Yes.